Okay, Madam Mayor, it is 5:04 and we are live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Lake Worth Beach, Part 2 of the special commission meeting regarding advisory board interviews and tonight appointments. It is Tuesday, August 1st. Can I have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes,
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Oh, Commissioner Diaz will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we're starting with the Business Advisory Board and there you are looking to appoint 7 people.
Yep. I'm sure we've all had time to think about our different appointments. So how did we do it the other day? We just wrote it down and said what we said. Mr. McVoy?
Just before we get too far into the weeds and the details, I think we've said this before at a previous, maybe a year ago. I personally feel that we should not feel compelled to fill all vacancies on any given board unless we have people that we feel would do what we were elected to represent. So it's okay to nominate fewer than there. It just depends on how many applicants and what you think and all that stuff. And we should not be shy about that, in my opinion. So I don't think we should feel like, oh my gosh, we got to come somebody to come up with 7 for a given board that has 7. 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the Business Advisory Board is the first has applied for. It was Aaron Allen, Michaela Clanton, Tom Conboy, Jonathan Cooper, but he did not show up, correct?
Correct.
Craig Frost, Amy Gill, Patricia Holloway, David Matthews, Jacob Rodens, and Camilla, thank you, Zavala. Was there somebody else that I said Dave Matthews?
Did you say Priscilla Holloway?
I said
Okay, sorry.
Convoy, Frost, Gill, Holloway, Matthews, Rhodsons, and Zavala.
Are those your?
And that was
That's everyone.
that's everyone.
Oh.
Somebody else? Who? Sam Goodstein, right?
Right, I had that Hannah Croft, she's
Right.
not on here, but I think she was
Right.
interested. She applied
She
for
was.
CRA, and then I wasn't sure about Anton Avalos.
He played.
Right.
He only applied to CRA and was
Right.
only interested in CRA.
All right, good. I had a question mark. Thank you.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. So, you want to start with District 1 and go down, or District 4 and go up?
I'll start. Ready?
Okay.
Aaron Allen, Craig Frost, Michaela, Camilla, Amy Gill, Sam Goodstein, and Pastor Jacob.
Okay. You want?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I did not take stenography. So if you could do it a little bit slower, I'd appreciate
You
it.
had the
Thank you.
list in front of you and you were just
Or
gonna put
just,
like a
I had a
check
little
mark.
trouble too. I had a little trouble too.
No,
So
I'm actually writing it down.
Aaron Allen,
Aaron Allen, Craig Frost, Michaela.
Yep.
Camilla. Amy Gill, Sam Goodstein, and Jacob.
Okay. Next up, Sam, are we ready for the next?
do you have that, Melissa? Okay.
I saw a nod. Sam Goodstein, David Matthews, Jacob Rootsons, Camilla Zavala, and Tom Cumberland.
Okay. Who's up next? Kim?
Wait, let me just repeat that. Sam Goodstein, Matthews, Rhodsons, Zavala, and Conboy.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Kim?
I had Aaron Allen, Amy Gill, Sam Goodstein, David Matthews, Camilla, Tom Conboy, and Hannah Crawford.
Okay, Ronaldo,
Had Amy Gill, David Matthews, Camilla Zavala, Tom Conboy, Hannah Crawford, Sam Goodstein, and Jacob Rhodes.
okay. And I had Aaron Allen, Michaela Clanton, Craig Frost, Amy Gill, Dave Matthews, Camilla Zavala, and Sam Goodstein.
Which board did Hannah apply to?
CRA.
CRA.
She's a small business owner. Photography, I think.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. Can I amend mine? Yes, I had to add Hannah's too.
Okay, yes, she can.
I'm sorry, who are you adding?
Hannah Crawford.
I didn't have her on the list for the business, but yes, now that I remember who it is.
All right, so bear with me while I tally up.
I don't know how to spell it. Is she an H?
You don't think Amy Gill should be on the business board? Please.
Did you put the, is this your,
Yeah.
do we have anyone
Mhm.
accepting it?
Yeah.
Jamie, are you tallying too?
Do you need the tally?
Okay, so let me tell you what I have so far. With 5 votes, I'm just doing last names, Zavala and Goodstein.
Correct.
4 votes, Matthews and Gill.
Right.
3 votes, Allen and Crawford. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then with 2 votes, we have 3 people with 2 votes, Clanton, Frost, and Conboy. So do you want to start with 6 or do you want to revote or what?
I would think that it would be better to revote. And
Okay, so
I mean, consensus to do that.
I had Aaron Allen with 3, Michaela with 2, Craig with 2. Jacob with 3, Hannah with 3.
oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Jacob. Wait, he might have had 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're right. He has 3. That's our 7. We don't have to go to the 2s. So it's Allen, Gill, Matthews, Zavala, Goodstein, Crawford, Rodens. Rhodsons, and thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, Allen, Gill, Matthews, Zavala, Goodstein, Crawford, Rodens.
Okay,
That's our 7 for the Business Advisory Board.
okey-doke. CRA, do
Are we voting on that now?
you want to go each vote?
I think that makes sense.
I think we have
Yes,
Okay, sure.
motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, CRA.
you only need 1 for the CRA.
Right, and I'm gonna start this vote just because I want to. And my vote is gonna be to bring Drew Bartlett back. We have a lot of new people on the CRA. Drew has a history with the CRA. He has been through the ups and downs of the CRA, and I think it would be, there's a lot of new people, and I just think it would be a stabilizing force, especially since the chair did not apply to run again. So I just think as That's my 2 cents. I think we should be a little more steady with that board. He was through the whole L&M debacle, so he knows where the mistakes were made and how to not do them again. So that my vote would be for Drew Bartlett.
That's who I have as Drew Bartlett as well for everything that you just said. And he gets along with everyone
Mhm.
very well.
So who's that? Who's next?
Chris.
Patricia Holloway.
She didn't apply for it. She,
I think she indicated that she would do that if I remember my notes right. I have to dig.
well, we have a few people that really want to be on this. Finance, we asked her about finance. No, I'm sorry, that's Priscilla Holloway. I apologize. Oh, Holloway, Patricia Holloway?
Yeah,
Priscilla Hollowell, okay. Yeah, she asked about the fight. I mean, she didn't apply.
Hollowell, did I say something different?
I was getting confused with the other young lady. Well, I mean, she didn't apply for it. She so Kim,
All right, I had Sue Welsh, who was a previous board member, could represent the families in our community and the art community. So it's her as my first choice and Drew Bartlett was my second choice.
okay. Mr. Diaz,
I had Drew Bartlett. I've known him for years and have worked with him in the past. So.
mhm. Mr. McBoy,
I've known Drew for a while as well, interacted with him when he was previously on the board. My only thought on not appointing him is that he has been on, and it'd be a good idea to bring some new people in. I hear your argument on continuity and so on, and I think that has some validity too. Yeah, so I can't help it. I got voted. What? I tried to get out of the way. Sure, fine. I'll change my vote and got 5. Let's go.
okay, unanimous. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Drew
I don't
Bartlett,
know, you got some stuff over there.
do you have a second?
Here.
Second,
By Ms. Stokes, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Are we moving ahead to the adjustment? Are we doing construction? I don't think. Yes.
Oh, okay, so I actually have an announcement on that. So if you're on the CBAA, you cannot serve on another HRPB or PZB.
Wait,
So I spoke with spoke with Ed DeVoe this morning, and he is sending me a letter of resignation from the CBAA, which, just so you know, has not met in 13 years.
Right.
So I would say we got no applications for it, and
That's a safe choice.
it's not really, I know, it's not really an emergency. So if you have someone you want to appoint to it, we now have 4 vacancies for that.
Okay.
we don't have any applicants though, so,
No.
Nobody applied.
great.
And I would say if we hear that somebody's doing an appeal, we could certainly go and, and have to make some appointments.
Okay. Okay, next up, then with the Education Task Force, 7 members, 1 for each school. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, I think we should go school by school, and I strongly feel like I would prefer to not appoint anybody to Sacred Heart or Highland today.
Highland is a public school.
Today, I said today, I don't think that logistics should rule somebody out from serving for a full year. And Andrea Hernandez has been at all the SAC meetings. She has a child. She's very active in that school. She applied for the board. She let us know ahead of time that she just happened to be traveling, and she would be getting to her destination at noon. And even traveling with kids, she tried to get here and Zoom in and make it work, and it just didn't. And I think half of our battle is getting people connected to the schools, and she already has a relationship there that I think we should hold off on. I don't think we should take, nobody else picked Highland as their school of choice, nobody. So I
Madam
don't think
Clerk?
it makes sense.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I just want to find out, did Ms. Hernandez let you know that there might be a problem with communication?
Yes, I knew that she couldn't be here until noon and that she was zooming in. And she actually did show up on Zoom and then she disappeared.
That's right.
So, my suggestion was going to be for those two schools, maybe at 5:30 on August 15th, you can have the people that weren't able to interview and then finish the appointments for that, because you have to be interviewed in order to be appointed.
So,
And the other person, I don't know if you were considering him or not for education, for PZB is Mark Hum. I knew he was going to be out of town. He was going to be somewhere without any access to any way to connect whatsoever. I spoke to him. We emailed a few times. He's on PZB. I know he's been a really great member and he's a contractor. So he's back in town actually tomorrow. So if you wanted to hold a spot on PZB for him, he could also interview on the 15th, and then you could complete those two boards at that time. That's just a suggestion.
would it not be better, and I'm just, just hearing this for the first time, would it not be better to not have any appointments to those two boards until we can interview everyone, or
PNC,
repeat? Well, he's not, Mark Hum wanted to be here, also couldn't be here.
right.
So,
I think those are, I think for education task force, because we are not appointing 7 members, we are appointing 1 person per school.
no,
I don't see any
disagree
reason
with
to
you.
not.
I don't,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I don't see any reason to hold off on Lake Worth Middle or
Oh,
Lake Worth High
okay,
for
right,
those other
that's
2
fine.
schools. But
So-
for PNZ, I think you have a valid point when we get to that one.
all right, so,
Because they're meeting tomorrow. They have their quorum. He is
They
going to
have-
be there.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so who was that extremely enthusiastic woman about North Grade?
Ellen
Was that Ellen Ashford?
Ashford.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, how,
Yeah, I want to give
Yeah,
us some,
I would nominate Ellen Ashford for North Grade. She has a child there. She's already an active member of the SAC and the PTO.
okay,
who I had on my list?
okay.
Okay.
Ronaldo, yeah,
Same.
okay.
So,
South Grade,
South Grade, I would nominate Melissa Landis. She's the only person that chose South Grade as a school of interest and has already attended a SAC meeting.
third,
okay. Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Okay. So we keep going down. The next one is Alan Nosworthy, who's been working with the Lakewood High School,
Oh, no, that was Jay Silbe.
Jay Slipe,
Bill first,
but
Yeah.
the woman,
No, Jay Silbe has to stay at Lake Worth High School.
he's worked hard to develop. a
He's-
relationship, very conscientious.
that Danielle lady was extremely
She's-
exciting.
Very exciting, but after 2 years of a lot of very excited people, I would prefer to keep somebody who's consistently, and also one thing that we didn't talk about then, when we had all these people, we assigned 2 people to every school.
Mhm.
So Jay Silpe and, oh my gosh, I want to say Ashley Federico were both assigned to Lake Worth High, and they were our rock star team. They both went, positive attitudes, came to every meeting, shared. She left Park Vista to come teach at Lake Worth High School, and those 2 are in constant communication. And he's the vice chair of their SAC meeting.
Mm.
He is there, like he has been. I really think I don't think it would send a good message to try to move
Okay.
him.
Keep them there.
She was, I mean, she was just, her ethnicity, she was bilingual, all that.
She
stuff,
was, yeah.
I thought Danielle was,
But she'd be in the library too, because she's,
hold on, I spoke with her afterwards, and unless I misunderstood, which I don't think so, she said she would be willing to do the middle school, which was,
but Lindy White also wants to do the middle school. She's been up there.
but, that's a separate issue. Daniela was willing to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
So are we okay with Jay's, and I don't know if it's Silk or Silk Pay, but whatever it is,
And he's at Lakewood High School, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
uh,
sure.
got my vote.
Diaz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, then, I would like to put Alan Nosworthy at Barton Elementary School as another dedicated task force member willing to serve. He lives on the south side of the city, just not,
He does.
not in District 1, but he lives on the south side of District 4 and
Did anybody else ask for?
nobody
parking?
chose. She did. She's on the library board. I think Alan would be better suited for that role. That was my thing. I'm happy everyone else.
And he's
made
been,
theirs.
he's been a dedicated member.
Yes.
Okay,
got my vote.
so that's Barton.
And then
I'm sorry, can you turn your mic on, Commissioner?
Sorry, Anna Marie is very entrenched with the kids in our community. And she lives in the community and she did come here and say that she wants to be the liaison for Barton. I mean, just because she's part of the library doesn't mean that we should just. I feel like we're gonna keep people in all the spots and why did other people come apply? I'm just saying.
Well, there's not a lot of people, there's not a competition for these, actually.
right, we had 2 dedicated returning task force members out of 17. We're not keeping
Yeah,
just everybody.
I would stick with Alan. And I know that Anne Marie is very dedicated.
Anna Marie does amazing things with the children in our community.
But I
You just- You
think-
can't take that away from her.
And she'll do them through the library too.
I would stick with Mr. Nosworthy.
And then,
So that would you go, is that a 4-1?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then, well, she also applied for Lake Worth Middle. She applied for Lake Worth Middle only and then was asked if she'd be willing to
Right.
do Barton. So we can keep Anna Maria in the running if we wanted to for Lake Worth Middle. I think Danielle Rivera would be amazing there. I didn't think she was interested in Lake Worth Middle, so I was gonna put her to the library board.
I
And-
specifically talked with her afterwards because totally unrelated, I knew that Devar Malmaison was looking for a CPR person, but in the process, I said, look, it looks like we're having trouble. It seems sensible to keep Jay at the high school. Would you be willing? Can you get to the middle school? And she said, yeah, she could. And would.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I like
had,
that's the advantage of being bilingual. I think that's pretty important. And I would go with that. That's my.
I was really interested in Danielle to be on the library board because of all the things that she offered. And I felt like, especially the life saving and things like that would be great to reach out to all the schools.
Community outreach.
Yeah. But I don't think she was against the idea of serving on more than one board either. So I think Lake Worth Middle, yeah, I mean, bilingual would be super helpful there. That's such a struggling school, especially in that regard.
Well, I don't think it should be held against. I mean, I understand that, but on the other hand, Lindy White she's,
We didn't ask every person that was up here, are you bilingual? Now you're we're assuming that just because they look like me, that they're not bilingual, which isn't fair either.
well, I think she said she was. But, oh, right. I don't know if Lindy is bilingual or not. Mr. McCall.
No, that's not at all true.
All right, we're not going to get into an argument who's more bilingual, who's got the better accent, who's got the better idioms. But if Lindy is able to communicate, and she's also a member of our community and has been for a long time, and she's also been involved in the middle school. I would like to see that, and I would like to see, because Danielle seems terrific, but her personality, she's the kind of person that would do great anywhere, it seems like. But if she's looking for community involvement and getting started and getting involved in the city, the library board, I think would be a great place for her because there's programs for her to do outreach, bilingual outreach, to get her sort of involved in the city.
when I was not aware that Danielle was interested in getting to the middle school. And so I had her for the library and I had Lindy for the middle school.
Mhm.
I do think it would be beneficial to have someone who's bilingual. So I do think it's not always just about language, but there are other cultural things
Yeah.
that go along with it too. But
For those kids,
I think either one of them would be fine. So like
Yeah. I would like
I
to go
think
with
I'm the
Lindy.
tiebreaker here.
Yeah,
And so I think we go with Lindy, and if is everybody, I know the library board's not till later, but was everybody feeling good about Danielle for the library?
yeah.
That's who I had picked.
Mhm. Okay, so we gotta keep an eye on time. So for North grade, Ellen,
Wait, so do we have, so is Lindy for the middle school for all of you?
yes.
Okay,
Jay is gonna be at the Lakewood High School, Danielle, perhaps the library. We have a North grade person, but Kristen Reed also applied for North grade.
Ellen is North grade for
Alan.
Ellen
Osborne,
Ashfield.
Barton. Yeah,
Ellen.
Ashford for Ellen is
Right.
North grade, right? I'm just saying Kristen also applied.
Okay, I didn't know if you were reading the names for the clerk.
No, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I'm just going down the roll. So we have North grade, we have,
I have Melissa Landis for South grade, Ellen Ashford for North grade, Alan Nosworthy for Barton, Lindy White for the middle school, Jay Silpy for the high school. And I believe we're waiting on Highland and Sacred Heart right now.
Yes.
So then we are done with the education task force for right now.
yeah.
Do we
Yep.
need a motion?
I just have one question again about Sacred Heart. It's not a public school.
Mhm.
There are other schools in the town. So I'm just curious, how did Sacred Heart get on that list?
Right, like I explained before, and Commissioner Malega did follow up with Erica Whitfield, and we are very open to looking to reevaluate that at the formation of this board. Sacred Heart was one of the larger private schools in the area, making it the beautiful number of 7 instead of 6. So that was how that was chosen. But we are, we will be looking into expanding for the children. And if there's other schools that we should be considering, please bring them to our attention.
And my feeling is if maybe I'm wrong in this, but if they're coming, I'm focusing on Lake Worth kids. I mean, do most of the kids that go to Sacred Heart come from Lake Worth Beach?
I went to Sacred Heart, so
My dad.
Did you live in Lake Worth Beach?
from 5th to 8th grade,
I'm sorry,
from 5th to 8th grade, I went to Sacred Heart after OSL.
and you lived in the city?
At that time, it was a little bit of both. Yeah.
My
In
dad and both my aunts went there and they lived on M Street.
All right, so I think we have that for now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we need a motion.
a motion.
Motion to approve what the clerk said.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The Electric Utility Board, there was that guy that came up with, who had dealt with security and building
Theodore.
electrical systems. I thought
Yeah.
Ted Belushi, his name is right here. That's him. I was thinking about, and I think we asked him and he said he'd kind of do whatever we asked him.
Yeah, I think he said he could do it.
Yeah, so I'd like to have someone do that.
Let's nominate him to join as the business representative for the Electric Utility Advisory Board.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
no,
Thank you.
Oh.
I was going to comment on it. I think he's very recent into the town. I think the electric utility needs people who either have long time involvement in the issues of the electric utility and its reputation in our town, or technical experience in that direction. He does. It's not, his experience isn't very relevant to the.
Okay, all right.
I would not.
So it's
I
4-1.
think we should.
Does he owns a business here in town, so his rates are affected as a business, as he would be the one person that is thinking about commercial electric utility rates on that.
And he's
whole board.
dealt with electricity.
So that is where I feel like we need, because we treat commercial customers different from
Mhm.
residential, I feel like that's an important voice to have.
Where did Alan go? Which school? Was Alan Nosworth?
Barton.
So, is that a 4-1 vote then?
Right.
4-1? Okay, Madam Clerk, that's 4-1 for,
We have a motion and a second for that. I
We-
believe we have Commissioner Maliga and Commissioner Stokes.
Yep,
Yep.
and
the EUAB, and one dissenting vote
correct.
for vice mayor. Okay, next is the FAB board, and they need 5 members.
I didn't even really look at them because
There was no applicants.
there were no applicants. There was one Priscilla, or one maybe.
Patricia Hollowell said she,
Patricia.
Person.
Is it Patricia?
That Sean.
Priscilla.
I think
It's
it was
Priscilla,
It's
Priscilla Hallowell.
Another one that we asked was Sean Cabri.
Yeah.
Who was interested.
He said he'd be
all
up.
right, so we have Hunter Johnson, but he didn't
He didn't show
show
up.
up.
I don't know.
Okay.
He withdrew his application.
Okay,
Alright.
so we have 5 vacancies. Jonas, Patricia Howell said she would consider it. That would be 2. Please, please. please. Was there anyone else that said they would want to be on the Finance Advisory Board?
No, there were no applicants
No.
except for the Jonas and Hunter.
So I would, since there are 5 vacancies, I think it would be good. Ms. Halliwell has a financial background. Mr. Reed is interested in it as well, and he's a very detail-oriented person. And he works in development. So, I mean, do I have
Is that 2? Is there a third?
nobody else?
Sean
Don
Corbett.
Cabray, the yacht captain,
Oh,
that he had a lot of financial
Oh. 3 then.
So if
dealing.
one of them is absent, we don't have a quorum.
Right.
We
So-
asked a bunch of people. There's something about spreadsheets.
Something about those numbers. Okay, so does someone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Just go ahead, feel free.
I guess for the 3, Reed, Hallowell, Cabri.
Cabray. Mhm.
Maybe.
Do I have a second? Hearing none. Does anyone else have another
I
motion?
just hate putting people on a board that they didn't apply for. The Finance Advisory Board, I put somebody on it when we first came on and they left because of internal stuff. I feel like sticking somebody on the board that they really didn't apply for is,
Well, we asked them
Yeah.
specifically.
Was Priscilla that enthusiastic about it? I feel like she's a retired banker and she wants to put all her energy into like trees and nature now.
Okay, so-
My concern
You
is
can always
that you
vote
have
on
3
it.
people and then they show up and, they're part of a board that can't really perform. If one person's on vacation or one person gets sick and then now they're part of a board that,
but I guess we could start with that and then try to see if we can get more people to apply on the next round. And if we say, congratulations, you're on the FAB board, and they say, no, thank you, well, then we're back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a quasi judicial board, it's more of a advisory board, so it's not an emergency to have people on it. But Jonas did apply for it. So do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
so we do think it's worth staff's time to hold these additional meetings and it's just.
If there's no motion, there's no, if nobody makes a motion.
I'm torn. If this is really just the beginning, we can't wait a whole nother year to hold interviews.
Well, I think I've thought of it. We're doing this right now. It feels like once a year. I think if an opening happens, we need to fill those. I don't think we need to wait, we don't have another one for 6 months. So I think we're like getting our boards together at this point and hoping to maintain them. And as openings arrive, deal with them and not just let them go into a giant morass.
So would we be trying to get another,
We could put out another
Right.
another advertisement that said, we still have some openings for these boards. If you're interested, apply. And it wouldn't be 55 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even though it's not quasi judicial, I was a little bit disappointed in the lack of response because we talked a lot about the potential of this board in terms of transparency and stuff. And I feel like of all of them, this one was such a critical one, and it's so hard.
It's interesting, yeah, because
Yeah.
people have lots of comments about how we spend our money, but, right. Okay, so does anyone want to make a motion or not?
Ronaldo made a motion.
Ronaldo, what motion did you make?
It was for the
Oh, it
3
failed.
of them, but
There was no,
Yeah.
it died. It died for lack of a second. Does anybody else have a motion?
I would move that we wait on that either to the 15th of August or longer to re. See if we can get enough people.
So you said you want to table this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Sorry, is there a second for that?
there's no discussion for a table, I don't think. Um. is
Yes,
there-
you can table the appointments to the FAB board.
Let's table the appointments to the FAB board. Do you have to have a motion for that? Motion to table. Somebody has to make a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Do you have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay,
What are we on to next?
we did the
The
HRP.
library board.
I like Daniela or Danielle Rivera for that.
I have Lisa Postcancer.
That was a tough,
Yeah. I can't believe there's only one vacancy.
I know. So it's only 5 members, so I've been really wondering about our decision. I know, obviously, the finance board has a hard time making quorum with a 7-member board, so we went down to 5. But there's so many people in this town that have been interested in the library, the tree board, and
Well, we can do what we can do tonight and then talk to Cindy and see if she has any interest in expanding it.
was it always?
Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I had a meeting actually this afternoon with all the board liaisons. They are
Uh.
very happy with 5-member boards.
Oh,
They are what?
Very happy.
Very happy with 5-member boards.
That's the staff members that are the liaisons that are happy with 5-member boards.
Correct. So I met with all the liaisons this afternoon and some of the directors that oversee the boards. And they're happy with them at 5 members.
this is a hard one. This is a hard one.
I vote for Lisa Postcancer.
I liked her energy so much.
And she's already dedicated herself to our school system and
Mhm. And then, of course, there's a young woman, Kavala. Did she make it onto the board?
Who?
No,
Jamala.
Camilla Zoom. Yes, she's on the
On
business
business.
board. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough for me between Lisa Postcancer and Danielle Rivera, but I do think it would be nice to have.
Yeah, and I think Lisa can stay involved in other ways. This would be a way to like kind of get Danielle to stick around.
I would be, I think it's good. Get some new-
Turn on your mic, Vice Mayor, or speak into
No, I
it.
just gotta
Thank you.
speak into it.
You're you're mumbling.
I think there's something to be said for newer, younger folks, get them involved in the city. So I would vote for Daniela Rivera. Done, I think it's done, yeah.
She's the one that also applied for the school education, right?
For like,
And for the TPA, we didn't put her on the education.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
I recommend her for the TPA
okay.
almost,
Okay, so well,
and she said she'd be, I believe she said she's game for. two of them.
okay, well. So we have, I know Lisa is amazing. I also see Danielle Rivera being sort of she's big about outreach. She's so as much as I love Lisa's energy and I would love I wish we had a couple places to
No.
fill. This is a hard one. But I think I would go with Danielle.
a motion to appoint Danielle Rivera to library board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
P and Z.
All right, now we have to figure out. We do need to appoint people because they're meeting, right?
No, this is not, we did the HRPB, that's the one. But we should.
No, we have the current PZB board meeting tomorrow. The next meeting won't be till next month. That gives them time to do their
Ma-
ethics training, et cetera.
Mark Hum is the guy that couldn't make it because of, and we knew that he couldn't make it.
Right.
So, given that there are 4 vacancies and at least, I mean, we could try to do it tonight, but I mean, do we want to wait and have Mr. Hum, have the ability to come on the 15th for short interview?
do you want to just read off who we all picked and then pick the top 3 and then know that we can interview Mark and then come back and revote
Okay,
to make it fair.
I like that idea.
okay.
I
Yeah.
keep Ed, but we put Ed
We-
on HRPV, so,
And Dave Matthews on business.
right.
But that's not quasi judicial.
Well,
This
but
is the
still,
board, it's
I don't think, he didn't want to be on
HRPV.
two boards, I don't think. Dave.
HRPV is.
He wanted to be on.
Yeah, but for Dave, he's on business, but that's not quasi judicial.
There's
I
no
don't know if
conflict.
Dave has the time or the capacity to be on two boards.
He said, yeah.
I thought he said he was interested in it.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
He
so,
said max 2 is my note.
oh,
max 2.
and we do have to have an architect. And Mr. LeBlanc did say he would go to HRPV, so Juan Compton is one that we would, I think,
Yeah, Juan's a
Yeah.
given.
I would nominate Mr. Richter, Greg Richter.
I have Greg, Hank Prosky, Dave Matthews, and Juan Compton.
Okay, can you do that again and let's go by
We're gonna
commissioner,
go a little
please?
slower, okay,
One at a time.
one at a time.
Commissioner Maliga,
Commissioner Maliga.
Dave Matthews, Greg Richter. Hank Prosky. And Juan Compton.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor,
Eleanor, and we're giving you 3 or 4?
I know I did 4, but we're giving 3.
Oh, three, right.
Okay, we're all giving
Okay.
4. Okay.
Okay,
So I'm providing 4.
four.
Okay, Eleanor Schenk, Juan Compton, Andrea Sinner. And I put James McCormick. I'm not 100% clear whether he said he would be willing. He applied for the TPA. I'm not sure if he said he would be willing, but it seemed like he could. And I believe he's been here 5 years.
That's 5. Oh, no,
I think he said he only wanted to be TPA, but I'd have to listen again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, can you repeat your 4?
yeah.
Into the mic.
Oh, into the mic. Okay. Eleanor Schenk, Juan Compton, Andrea Sinner. Okay, if there's some uncertainty on James, then I'll switch that to Patricia Holloway.
who didn't apply for it?
I,
Okay, Commissioner Stokes,
I did Eleanor Schenk, Andrea Center, Juan Cotton, and David Matthews.
Commissioners, as you're going through this, Elizabeth Linehan, just want to make sure that you know that dual office holding applies to decision-making boards. So if there are a member who sit on 2 boards that have decision-making powers, it's not that necessarily the quasi judicial nature of the proceedings, but that there are decision makers, that be the difference.
and it's not allowed to be up to.
Right. Yeah, we said that earlier. Yeah.
Advisory.
Advisory and quasi judicial is okay.
Okay.
Where were we?
Commissioner Diaz,
I had Eleanor Schenk, Juan Compton, Dave Matthews, and Henry Posky.
Mayor.
That was the same. Greg Richter, Dave Matthews. Juan-
Wait.
Not too fast.
Matthews, okay, Compton.
And Henry Posky.
Okay, bear with me while I tally.
Who is the liaison to the Waterways Board? Do we have a staff liaison?
Oh.
Pam Hetty,
Ah, that makes sense.
That's right.
To the what?
okay, the Waterways Board.
Oh, the water, yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, so this is what I have. I have Juan Compton with 5, Matthews with 4, Posky with 3, and Compton with 3.
Who had 5?
Say that again.
I'm sorry, Cotton with 3, Matthews with 3, Paskey with 3, Schenk with 3.
Oh, man, that makes it hard.
It needs to be cut.
No,
I-
Cotton has 5. Cotton had 5. I misspoke.
You had 3.
I only have 2, you and,
Oh, I thought Mr. Diaz had said,
So do we
no,
want,
he had Schenk, Cotton, Paskey, Matthews.
so do we want to do Cotton and Matthews just 2 today? Until Mark Hum interviews,
yeah, let's do
and
that.
then that way we can consider all the 3s with him.
Okay, so
Or-
one continent and Dave Matthews, and if we're uncertain about particular Holloway, I'd be okay with it.
Are you mumbling again?
If, yeah, okay, it's fine.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so
Okay.
tonight, so I need a motion to put Dave Matthews and Juan Cotton on the board
Motion for Dave Matthews and Juan Cotton on the planning and zoning.
by Commissioner Malega. Do I have a second?
Second,
By Commissioner Stokes, all in favor?
Aye.
The very controversial Tree and Landscape Board with 1 vacancy.
it's such a shame.
Such a shame.
There's
Uh,
so many amazing people applying to
Two
that board.
vacancies.
Oh, it's 2. That's right. There are 2. Right. And
I would,
Oh, why did I only think there was 1?
I think
No, they
Benjamin
changed it.
Jungles is pretty obvious. He is
right,
professional in that.
yes,
And Patricia Holloway
that was the other one.
was, pretty knowledgeable also and pretty dedicated. So to me, that was straightforward.
We
we-
agree.
Can we do the, I don't know, okay.
So we have,
I have Jonas Reed and Tuesday Gilliam. Julian.
Gillum. So, Commissioner Maliga, you had Reed and Gillum,
Yes.
Vice Mayor,
Jungles and Hollowell. I believe that's,
I only had 1 person for some reason. I had Jungles,
I'll tell you why, because when I did all of this, there was only 1 vacancy, and then I found out there was a second and I redid it.
okay, I was probably looking at the outdated paper then. So I have Jungles and then I think we need Hollowell on a board, whether it's tree or waterways. I don't feel strongly about. I had her initially for waterways, but I don't know if this is too strange, but I would like to do Jungles and then either Patricia Hollowell or Amy Denakales.
I would suggest
And the other, whoever doesn't make it, I would hope would make it on the waterway.
Amy who?
Amy.
Amy, the
on
choose-
Nick-
Seneca, that's not how you pronounce it, and I didn't pronounce it correctly either.
I didn't either, but that
Oh, okay.
mentioned it, but,
Yeah.
she's into
I would
search.
put her on
Yeah.
the water. I agree that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mr.
So then I would do Priscilla if
but Patricia,
Amy or Patricia.
I think.
No,
it's-
it's Priscilla.
I think it was printed 2 different ways in 2
Yeah.
different places.
That is very possible.
Priscilla.
It's very helpful, Madam Clerk, and we really
right.
appreciate it.
Commissioner Diaz, you're 2?
I had Ben Jungles and Tuesday Gillum as well.
And I have Ben Jungles and Priscilla Holloway,
Hollowell.
Hollowell, whatever her
What-
name is.
She had 3 votes. We have to learn her name.
We do.
We probably ought to learn it and find out whether it's Patricia or Priscilla.
It's Priscilla.
It's Priscilla. I spoke to her that day.
Oh, okay. All right. I've been looking up.
Okay, so we have 4 for Jungles and 3 for Holloway. So that's it. The other 2 got
Do I have
under
a
that.
motion?
Motion to approve Jungles and Hollowell to the tree board.
Do I have a thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Did you hear who the second was?
Mr. Stokes.
Thank you. Okay, then we have the waterways that they have 5 vacancies.
Waterways. Ouch.
Oh, we're not doing TPA? That's last.
I'm sorry, I had it last because it's not a city
Okay,
board.
that's fine.
It's a little different.
Is it alphabetical?
It's a little different. Okay, there are 5 vacancies. And this is one of those boards that has to sort of redefine itself about what they're doing, who they are. Want to start, Mr. Diaz?
Yeah, I had Emily Billings, Sean Cabri, Tom Comboy, Sue Welch, and Amy DeNicholas.
Same.
Did Sue, she was, oh yeah, she did say.
Yeah.
awesome. I'm the same then.
refresh me on Amy. Who's Amy?
She's the young one who definitely did not have chickens, who is a
The one that doesn't
surfer,
have any chickens.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Required
was into native plants.
right,
brother.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
That's my list.
And Sean,
She
Sean
was
Gabriel.
all thin, recently moved.
He was the yacht captain.
Yeah,
Future champion.
Cap-
he's the yacht captain.
right.
Oh, right. Okay. that makes
He's the
sense.
clutch kayak.
Okay, so
Right,
Commissioner,
yeah.
Stokes, you said what, who now?
Mine was identical to Commissioner Diaz's.
Okay, which was Emily, Sean,
Emily, Sean, Tom, Amy, and Sue.
Sue.
I had Patricia originally, but I swapped her out with Amy
Okay.
because of the.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor McBoy.
Same list.
Okay, Miss, Malega,
I must really be sick because I did this on Saturday and I wrote down Emily, Sue, Tom and Sean. And we're all on the same page. I must be sick, right?
Oh,
We never all agree unanimously. on
Get
everything.
checked out. Don't worry, the mayor will throw us.
I haven't agreed. Emily, Sean, we need five. Emily, Sean, Tom,
Amy and Sue.
Well, we should.
you guys
tell
are
them.
saying Amy and Sue.
Have you voted, Madam Mayor?
Not yet. No, I just said I want Emily, Sean, Tom. I'd like to see Jonas Reed on a board. And, the young girl who doesn't have any chickens. Amy.
Can we stop talking about it? Poor, you'd probably really appreciate it if we would stop talking about it.
And I don't need time to tally that because it's pretty much 4-1, except for there was only one difference with the mayor, but the other 4 got 4. So it's Billings, Cabray, Convoy, the woman who doesn't have chickens, and Welsh. So I need a motion in a second, please.
No. You, the one with no chicken?
Please don't print that in your newspaper. Cut her a break.
No,
She's
he'll-
really nice.
Mark,
Okay.
and
Can I have a motion in a second, please?
there's no prohibition against pelicans. Okay, so our last, but,
Oh, we have to vote.
I still need a motion in a second and a vote.
oh, give you a motion.
Motion to approve.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, last is the one member to the Citizen Advisory Committee for the TPA.
Right.
Put Daniela Rivera on that.
I have Richard Stowe.
She, Revere, we just put Revere on the library board, didn't we?
She indicated.
We
She's
did.
pretty interested in transportation.
Cause she takes public, yes,
I.
cause she takes public transportation, right?
She does.
She's the one that takes.
Right.
public
That's what she
But-
wanted to go to the middle school. 'cause-
Right,
but
right.
She could get early
Okay.
around.
I would vote then for Danielle.
I had James McCormick.
Same.
I want
He
all
was-
these people on our,
I had McCormick because he was an executive. Well, he was
Oh,
high level for Tri-Rail and is really familiar with
Who he
funding
was.
and how to fund transportation.
Okay, we need.
I loved his
that kind of expertise.
technical knowledge. I
All right,
want Danielle, Richard, all of them to be on
Yeah.
our,
but you're right, I
mobility
forgot
plan.
about him.
you know, I want to make sure we bring all these people over to mobility planning and the advisory board that will be
Yeah.
active there.
All right, so I would change to James McCormick.
He was the very last.
Professional.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He
That's
was
why.
with
You look like a grown up.
Metro North, Metro North. I think 5 years,
Yeah.
what I
But
remember.
he brought his
Cool.
stuff with him. I would go for James McCormick. So do I have a motion?
Motion for James McCormick.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the
Good
end.
job.
And we got 3 whole minutes to spare.
Yeah.
Do we have to end this meeting so we can?
Yeah.
start the next one?
Yes, we need a motion to adjourn. I wouldn't mind taking a few minutes so I can sort of fill everybody in.
Sure.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Well, we still have more to, no, we still have to, I would keep it. Oh, that, well, I'm keeping mine
I'm
until.
sorry, who made the motion in the second? It sounded simultaneous.
Motion to adjourn.
We'll give McVoy the motion to adjourn. Stokes
And you have
seconded.
the second. Okay, so we're adjourning at 5:58. Can we take a 5-minute recess, please?
If you're not there, we can't do anything.
You're kind of lost that.
All right, thank
And we're gonna get home.
I'm not. Well, if there's been a video found and watched. This one guy that's talking about some accidents for reaching the DVI. Making these words and children that on the road. Getting. The body way and just. Maybe I could just like.
Yep.
You can avoid that.
I heard.
Don't you hear?
Yeah, that's what he was telling me. But you're here, so we can get going anyway.
I want to jump on Zoom.
Okay.
So your camera will be on because you. Is that-
You're here, no?
I'm assuming she'll be here before we-
Right. So you're giving up your podium seat?
What's up?
You giving up your podium seat?
I am. Actually, once you're here, I go. I just.
Sure. What's this? It got long. It got long. What happened? It got more easy. What happened? I didn't do it. That's what happened.
Some problems, some I call it nasty.
Well, it looks like a short.
Better, that's fine. No, it's 2 pages, but it's like double, I don't know, it's about Salvador.
I was going to let off. Go out and go.
Sorry?
Fires.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because I can tell you about the child, my wife. And then I put him in, and then one day later. This guy. They were.
There was. Yeah.
Did you ask for the bell again? Yeah. There you go. You're welcome. We're being awfully casual about the time. Is there any reason that we're?
Okay, I'm ready. Is the vice mayor around?
I don't know. He was. Yep, he is. He's coming up. She's a good woman. She,
Right. The mayor set the bar really high last year from the hospital with my tunes. So.
I don't know, right back.
throw a sweater over my hospital gown and let me go.
Well, if you watch YouTube and watch how people please, you'll be that way.
And a little epoxy or super glue and boom, you're done.
Do we have Miss Davis on the line or is Mr.
Oh, here, let me see.
gone?
Yes, she is here.
Okay. Did Mr. Brown take off?
I do not know.
I don't know.
What's that?
Madam Mayor, it is
7:00.
6:12 and we are still live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular city commission meeting of Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. At least there. Can we have the roll, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga.
Present.
I'm sorry, did I say the vice mayor?
What?
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy, I'm sorry, you should be second. Vice Mayor
That's
Christopher-
okay. I'm fine. I'm here too.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes,
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Thank you very much. I'm going to lead the invocation tonight. And it's very simple. I just want to thank our dear Lord for the opportunity to serve this great city and the people that live in it. And to ask that we get the guidance that we need to make fair and informed decisions for the benefit of our city, for the people that live here, for the people that call this wonderful, but if imperfect city home. Amen. And I think Commissioner Malay is going to read the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering?
No.
No?
Do not have anything, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. Then we accept the agenda as proposed.
We don't need a motion. We're good to move on to
Be
presentations.
so careful. Now we have presentations. Now tonight we have a presentation regarding the community partnership school at Lake Worth High School by Ms. Rebecca Harley. And I brought this forward because of our continuing interest in our schools. And some people ask me, why are you so interested in the schools? And the reason is because we are the leaders of this whole community. And I want those children that are out there going to our schools to feel part of it because they are the leaders of tomorrow. So it's really just the whole shooting match for our city. So come on up. Your microphone's not on. Oh, God. We torture people here. We're getting help.
Well, we don't know what to do when Glenn isn't here.
That's right.
That's his job.
That's the clicker, and I'm on. Okay. Good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and speak to you about the Children's Home Society of Florida and the Community Partnership Schools Initiative. I got this clicker thing. How do I advance it?
Yeah, point at the laptop.
At the laptop. Let's see. Nope.
Is it on?
Got it. All righty. Thank you very much. So if you're not familiar with my organization, the Children's Home Society of Florida is one of the largest and one of the oldest nonprofit organizations that are serving children and families in the country. We serve nearly 80,000 children and families annually. We have a plethora of programs, services, resources, and supports for families that we implement throughout communities all over the country. The Community Partnership Schools Initiative was spearheaded through a collaboration with the University of Central Florida and Children's Home Society more than 10 years ago. And the goal was to go into marginalized communities and schools and support students who are impacted academically through barriers and challenges that affect their ability to perform academically. So they created this robust model that essentially said, what if we went into those schools and built a comprehensive social services program that would address those barriers and challenges? That includes a host of things because children come to school with baggage. They come with stuff. They come hungry. Some of them come homeless. Those are real challenges that our children come to school with. Some of them come to school with chronic illness. They come as victims of trauma, abuse, and all of that affects their ability to succeed. So, the statistics show that 95% of students attending the 36 schools that have this initiative as a core partner are economically disadvantaged. So you're going to find the Community Partnership School Initiative in communities where the students do not necessarily have access to concrete needs, resources, and supports. Children who grow up in poverty are 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. Today, nearly 80% of the prison population are high school dropouts. So what that means is that we need to become really invested in supporting our students in achieving a high school diploma. Whether or not they make it to college is up to them, but it's our job to provide them the resources and the supports in order to obtain and secure employment that is gainful. So when you think about our initiative, it's essentially like looking at a cell phone versus a conventional phone. I mean, it's not new to care about children and families, and we've done the best that we can historically. But the Community Partnership School Initiative is something different. You can compare it kind of to an iPhone because basically it is that in depth. There is an app for everything. So where there's a need for ACT and SAT prep, there's a workshop for that. Where there's a need for food and housing, there's a program for that. And it's my job to locate those resources and those supports for my students so that they can focus on learning, not on eating. So what is a community partnership school and why is it unique? It's unique for a variety of reasons. The first thing is that our school is made of multiple partners that are heavily invested in the program. So gone are the days where you get a little bit of funding, you're in a school for 1 or 2 years, and then voila, there's no more grant money. This initiative is funded by core partners that have made a 25-year commitment to this initiative. Those partners include the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County, the Children's Home Society, it includes the School District of Palm Beach County, and a host of other people that are committed to making sure that our kids are successful. This model is collaborative, which is why I'm here talking to you. It is not to be the vision of me. It is not to be the vision of Children's Home Society or even my principal. It is supposed to be a collaborative vision of you guys as my community partners and the voice of the students and the families. It is supposed to be the vision of us as providers and our years of experience in serving the families. And in order to do that, we all have to be having conversations. We all have to come to the table in the ways that I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later. The process is spearheaded through a needs assessment, so we don't guess. We've spent months in the school talking to parents, talking to students, talking to administrators, doing focus groups in order to hear them when they tell us what it is that they need. And that's what makes this community partnership school unique, is because it is not meant to look like the one in Orlando or even the John F. Kennedy one that is in Riviera Beach. It is to be unique to our students and our families here in the city of Lake Worth. Our focus areas are collaborative leadership, which means making sure that the vision is spearheaded by multiple people, multiple stakeholders. Wellness supports is one of the largest areas of focus for my students. We want to ensure access to primary health care so that is not a barrier for them coming to school. At the City of Lake Worth High School, we have more than a 30% chronic absenteeism rate, which definitely is avoidable if we support our students strategically. And we're looking to start with healthcare. Family and community engagement is a huge part. We want to incorporate families into the education of our students. We want to host a plethora of events and things that will bring them to that space so that they can feel comfortable, they can feel supported, and that will lend itself to the students feeling more comfortable coming there to learn. Expanded learning is another target area of the initiative. Expanded learning encompasses looking at the reading comprehension skills and the mathematics skills of our students on their diagnostics and strategically targeting resources and supports that will improve that. I will say that Lake Worth High is doing an amazing job. They have a 92% graduation rate, which is stellar. But when I tell you right now, I think she said school-wide, the data that came out, overall, the reading comprehension level averages at, I think she said 20%. So they are getting the job done. But when I think about what it would take to get students at proficiency levels of 18 and 17%, she said, for 9th and 10th grade students, and get them to graduation at the end of 12th grade, like that's nothing short of a miracle. I can't wait to see that, but I have to help. So, we're reaching out to you guys as the community because it is a collaborative model. That means that each and every one of you have a resource, have some area of knowledge that you can throw in the direction of your community partnership school. When I leave here, I just want you guys to keep us on your heart, on your mind. We have a pantry. We are feeding families, we are feeding students, and we need you guys to help fill in the gaps on those weeks that the food bank is low and I can only access 2 or 3 things, and families have become accustomed to using the pantry. That collaborative leadership structure includes a cabinet, which embodies the 4 core members, and it also includes a community leadership council. And that is one of the asks here today. If there is anyone that is interested in being on our community leadership council and supporting us by keeping regular attention on what we're doing, what our initiatives are, and kind of just, supporting us along the journey, we would really be grateful, and definitely reach out to me. We use the Community Leadership Council in addition to the cabinet, along with the school-based team, to do all of the things that we're doing. It takes all of that. In terms of funding and sustainability, the legislator gives us the seed money, but that's it. After that, it's up to us to utilize the community grants and donations in order to build out the program. So anybody in this room, if you have a resource that you feel might be supportive of our students and their many needs, give me a call. I'm not going to bore you guys with all of that. I just want to remind you about the impact of the program, which is systematically to target our students' graduation rates, their reading comprehension skills, and our target is to decrease suspensions so that our students are in school and not sitting at home. So when we can leverage social, emotional, and mental health supports, such as the healthcare the healthcare district of Palm Beach County is going to provide, and that we're hoping to supplement with other providers. Our students are less anxious, they're less angry, they're more likely to be able to successfully conflict resolution. They're just at a greater capacity to do well. So where we are today is that we have 27 community partnership schools that are spearheaded by the Children's Home Society, but there are 36 total throughout the state of Florida. Lake Worth High School and John F. Kennedy Middle are one of the two first schools privileged to get this program and be a part of this initiative. And we definitely want to start strong. We want to demonstrate the support and the success that can be accomplished when a community wraps around something like this and supports its kids. When we look at Lake Worth High School and the needs, I'm just going to sum it up and just tell you, the students, they want the mental health, social, and emotional support. They want to feel like school is a safe space. They want life skills. So if you're in this room and you feel like you could host a workshop for me on something that you are just stellar at, like grammar, when I think of students going to college and not knowing APA format and all of those just technical things that affect their ability to get in an environment and succeed, we are interested in that. Definitely give me a call. Concrete needs, when we think of clothing, when we think of food, all of those things are resources that our students need. Definitely please reach out to me if you are in the position to support us in that way. We hope to launch social media to kind of showcase what we're doing with the students and what we're doing with the families. And you can definitely support us by sharing that information and just becoming an ambassador for the program and what we're trying to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. One thing I was thinking about when we first spoke was we do have amazing people in the city. And I don't know about you, but you never know what comment or sentence or just interaction will have an effect on a kid. I remember this, some random things somebody said to me and like that made me think about something. So I would like to see if we, and I have no plan, but I would like to see if some of the community members come into the school, how to write a check, what is a checkbook, how do you get credit, that kind of thing, just basic life skills. Nobody's teaching them, and these kids.
And that is literally what one of the students mentioned in the focus group. He's like, I need to know how to file my taxes. I don't think I'm going to need biology. I'm going to be a carpenter, So you're definitely in the right direction. And we want the students to get what is practical.
Years ago, I was part of a nonprofit that did twice a year. We did a 1-day seminar. It was for girls.
Okay.
And it was like a 1-day seminar. They came in, it was wonderful. We bust them in from Belgrade, Pahokee. And in the morning, it'd be like life skills. It was that kind of thing. And what do you have to do to have that kind of job? And then we would have lunch with a speaker and little goodie bags. And then they have to do more. And just to see those kids, it was the first time they'd ever been in a hotel. It was, I just think that being exposed to different things in the world is a really important thing. So
Very important.
thank you. And we'll be in touch about how to get in touch with you.
I have folders with my information and cards. I can definitely leave them someplace and you guys could just grab them.
A stack for one for each of us.
Absolutely. Thank you so
for coming in
much.
tonight.
I appreciate
your
the
time.
opportunity.
Now we have a proclamation declaring August 6, 2023 as Salvadoran American Day.
Thank you. And I'll read it, of course, because I'm Salvadoran American, but I also wrote this. But yeah, I mean, when I, just a little bit of background, when I learned about this day last year, I didn't get a chance to come and do it, but I often don't take a whole lot of lighthearted things, but I think in our community, we do have quite a few Salvadoran Americans, and many of which run some really notable businesses in town that have been around for years. And it's just kind of a part of growing up here and growing up in the community and the things that are made available. So I did invite Mariana from Guatemalan Mayan Center, and she has a special guest to accept this. And I'll point out I'm wearing I know it looks like I'm casual, but it's a pretty traditional Salvadoran shirt with native blue indigo. If you want an interesting history lesson, just Google that, indigo in El Salvador. All right, so City of Lake Worth Beach proclamation. Whereas The elected leaders of the city of Lake Worth Beach are strong advocates of our city's diversity, where Salvadorans, as part of our larger Central American community, have been a significant part of Lake Worth Beach's long and significant history. And whereas Salvadoran Americans continue cultural and economic contributions to solidify their place in our community, and whereas Salvadoran American Day was started in 2006 to recognize all Salvadoran Americans for their hard work, dedication, and contributions to the stability and well-being of the United States. There should be an established day to acknowledge their value to Lake Worth Beach and the United States community and culture. And whereas August 6, 1525 was the official founding of Villa de San Salvador, declared in the Valle de las Hamacas, which is the Valley of the Hammocks, where the indigenous ancestors of El Salvador fought historic battles against Spanish colonialism to preserve the life and liberty of the Cuscacaleto population. And whereas decades of political turmoil and war forced hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans to flee El Salvador and seek peace and security in the United States, many of whom came here to Lake Worth Beach. And whereas Lake Worth Beach is home to numerous Salvadoran businesses, where the people of Lake Worth Beach and abroad are all welcome to experience Salvadoran culture and indigenous foods such as pupusas, sopas, and tamales. And whereas Salvadoran American families are committed to maintain both Salvadoran and American cultures while promoting cultural interchange so that the Salvadoran American culture can be preserved and passed on to future generations. And whereas Salvadoran Americans participate and contribute to the social, educational, professional, and now political systems of Lake Worth Beach and the United States. And whereas August 6th is a day of recognition for you celebrate throughout Lake Worth Beach and the United States. Now, therefore, Betty Rest, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, by virtue of her authority vested in and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim August 6, 2023 as Salvadoran American Day in the city of Lake Worth Beach, in recognition of all Salvadoran Americans for their hard work, dedication, and contribution to the stability and well-being of Lake Worth Beach and the United States.
Thank you.
And with that, I was wondering if I could, if there's consensus, or if you guys agree, I would love to approach our PR team, if you are, and maybe even our CRA, to take it on August 6th, maybe do some social media posts to highlight some of the food and businesses that are available in town, because I know we talked a lot about that the other day. And I think there's small things we can do to help the community.
Good idea.
Cool.
I would talk to Ms. Davis.
Yeah. And if Mariana wants to say something, or yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mabel González. Pertenezco a una comunidad religiosa. Estamos aquí con aspiración de también ofrecerle nuestro servicio a la comunidad hispana desde nuestra misión.
Hold on one
You want-
second. Would you do it sentence by sentence?
Yeah. Do you want to translate, Marty? Yeah.
Yeah, it's better if it's sentence by sentence.
Yeah.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mabel González. Soy salvadoreña, pertenezco a una comunidad religiosa.
Good afternoon. My name is Mabel Gonzalez. I belong to a religious affiliation. She's a sister, Catholic.
Con aspiración también de servir a la comunidad desde nuestro carisma.
With aspirations as well to serve our community. That's our charisma.
Gracias al comisionado, a su equipo de trabajo, a todos aquí presentes.
Thank you to the commissioner, to your team, and to everybody here present
Por esta invitación y por este reconocimiento.
for this invitation and this recognition.
Gracias a mi directora de mi trabajo, el Centro Maya.
Thank you, to the director, the Guatemala Center.
Estoy muy contenta de trabajar en el Centro Maya, sirviéndole a la comunidad, especialmente guatemalteca, y a todos los que se acercan al lugar que es de puertas abiertas.
I'm very pleased to serve at the Guatemala Center to serve primarily the Guatemalan community, but in a place where all doors remain open.
por mis hermanos salvadoreños que están aquí sembrando la cultura, las raíces, los valores, que sigan adelante fomentándolos en la familia.
For my brothers and sisters, my Salvadorian brothers and sisters that are here planting seeds, bringing in the culture, that they continue to keep on strong and continue to work.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
For coming.
Thank you, guys.
No, you can.
Yeah.
Y enseñen.
I got what I call that.
All righty. Thank you very much, Commissioner Diaz. Now Commissioner Liaison reports and comments. Let's start with District 1 tonight.
Not much to report. I've been fighting a bad cold for a week, as most people know. So I will pass the baton.
Okay. District 2.
And I forgot all about liaison reports. I'd like to report we were here much of Saturday. I can't remember too much else. And I don't have an excuse, but welcome along.
Okay. Commissioner Stokes. We're here this side up. Yeah.
Right, so as Commissioner McVoy said, we've been here a lot with budget workshops and advisory interviews, and we've appointed most positions. Excited to get the majority of the new education task force together this week, whoever's available on short notice. Eden Place Neighborhood Association finally moved their meeting again, so that it does not conflict with this meeting. So somebody a while back decided to change it to like the first or third Tuesday of the month. So I'll be going to that next neighborhood association now that they've moved it to accommodate us. And that's about, oh, and then we have the breakfast this Friday at the middle school. So I'll be
Serving.
attending that. I blocked off. Yes, I can be serving. So you have my official RSVP, Mayor, if you're keeping track of that.
Tell Ramsey.
Right. I will be able to go. I blocked off the first hour of my workday, so I can attend. Is it?
I'll be there as well.
All right. I missed a few meetings. Something kind of happened, but before then, I didn't attend the TPA governing board meeting, and it wasn't a particularly heavy meeting. There's some like really interesting things that I think will benefit our residents, like Tri-Rail did receive a very significant grant of nearly $72 million to start replacing cars. And our station is definitely one of the more used, I can safely say, especially in our area. So that's really good. We had a presentation on the progress that Palm Tran is making towards moving towards electric buses, which is really interesting and exciting. the short version is it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. And unfortunately, our most used routes here, which is the one going up and down Dixie, and the one going, west on Lake Worth Road, probably not going to get a bus because the technology just isn't there for range. But looking at the numbers and how that technology is progressing, it's really impressive where they feel rather confidently. I forget what the year it was. It was, within a couple decades, maybe a full. So they have some goals and they're moving. And then next month, I will be hoping, or not next month, this month now, August 17, I will be, hoping to attend a workshop that we're going to have with DOT and National Highway System. And it's going to be hopefully a cordial and friendly discussion on their performance measures and targets. And it will be us encouraging them to do better and step up the process on looking at things like our bridges and the condition they're in and the condition roads and the goalposts that they set, which we felt were not ambitious enough. And that's it.
Thank you.
Just a quick one. Commissioner Diaz reminded me that he attended the TPA meeting. I attended on Friday, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. They had a good presentation on the Florida Wildlife Corridor, which is quite an ambitious program to create connective land to allow movement of panthers and other bears and other species with willing sellers. And there were two reports from the staff of Treasure Coast on electric related things. The Public Service Commission asked asked all the planning councils to weigh in on the reports that the electric folks put into the Public Service Commission. So both FPNL and FMPA, for the Municipal Power Association, put in reports, and I asked them to, given the extreme hottest on record weather, the wildfires, the storms, all those things, to put a little bit more urgency to looking to move away from fossil fuels, and the board did agree to strengthen language. So we did that before. FPNL, by the way, is got ambitious goals on moving renewables. They hope to get to quite high percentages by 2032. FMPA is moving from like 92% fossil fuel to about 83%. They need a little more push.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I have a couple of things. Number one, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, we had a gentleman come in today and he mentioned, and I agreed with him, the new lights, the new stop signs on Dixie Highway and Lake and Lucerne are really hard to read. You have to be at exactly the right angle to see what color the light is. I don't know if anyone else is, I see some nods in me. Yeah, it's horrible. So I would like to somehow really sort of like urgently reach out to them. It took me a minute the other day. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, which happens sometimes. But it is hard to read. And so if we could bring that to their attention. The second thing, I have three things. The second thing is, I've gotten the gentleman was here last week and he had a comment, but he wasn't at the right time. And one of it was the presence, the repeated and common presence of shopping carts all around the city. There are ways to do that. And I'm wondering if we couldn't, like in Publix, I think it's a public couple of them, you can't take it beyond their borders because they have that electric thing that you can't, just stops working. And I was going to ask our attorney if there was some way that we, to the possibility of having that as a requirement for any store that has shopping carts to have that. So that would cut down on that problem. So that's that. That's number two. Number three is at a meeting last time, I brought up the idea of having a part of a park, Bryant Park, fenced off so that families could be a little more safe and have a place where it would be, you can't go in there unless you have a child with you or you have a permit to use that pavilion. We've had to return money to people that go down there. They reserve the pavilion for their kid's birthday party. And I mean, I was there yesterday morning and it was a mess. It was graffitied. I believe the city did take care of the graffiti already. Thank you so much. But I mean, all along the seawall, there's graffiti and there were people sleeping there with, again, I'm proposing that we have one, start out with one safe place in the city where we could have kids, families be at least acknowledge that this is a place for kids and not for adults that don't have kids. A member of our community, I'm going to hand out, one of the questions was when I brought this up, how big, how much, all that stuff. One of the members of our community has taken upon themselves to help me out here, and I'm going to pass out here. There's 2 pictures each. 2 pictures each. And I was hoping they would print out in color, and I have a couple for our fans in the audience. What it is if you look at the top one, which is the more close up, and this person has put 3 access gates. So this is, that's a detail we can talk about, but that's what I'm talking about. Just going up from that wall off the birthday cake castle, going up around where we have playground equipment, and then over to the seawall. That would enclose the pavilion, and it would just enclose the place where we have kids playing. This person did has actually experience in pricing things out. I have no idea if these are correct or not, but I'm talking about a nice high fence like you would see around a park. I grew up in New York and there were fences around parks. And at night and in the morning, we would have to the city would have to lock it and unlock it in the morning. But it would be a place where you could go with your child and not have to be confronted with there's plenty, the second photograph is a larger photograph. It's like it's overview, and it shows exactly how small the area that I'm talking about would be to affect that part. So I have handouts, and I could email it to you in color. So I would like to have this considered. I think that this is something that we could do for our families, and it's not a big expense, and there's all kinds of ordinances that the county has. I went to Cox Science Center a couple of weeks ago, and they have a sign that says you can't come in here if you don't have a kid. It's the playground. And I think in this day and age, a little safety, a little consideration for that sort of thing is not a bad idea. We're not closing off the park. We're closing off a small park devoted to children and families or whoever rents that pavilion. So I would like you all to think about it. I would like some feedback on it. I just think it's a step in the right direction for our families. So those are my, and I would like at some point, if you could give feedback to the city manager about it, because I really kind of want to move forward with that as an idea, because I just think the kids deserve it, the families deserve it. I get reports every day about what's going on down there. And one day it was just this bicycle chop shop. It was just, my nephew, he goes there every day, at least once with his dogs, and he goes, Aunt Betty, it's like a chop shop for bicycles today. So let's keep it for the families. Let's keep it for people that actually want to use the park for a purpose. So I would ask everybody to talk to the city manager about it. And that, Saturday was fun. And then after we had the meeting, I went up to Harry's Banana Farm, and they had a wonderful fundraiser for the kids. There was a good turnout, a lot of people. It was a nice, relaxing moment after being here all day. I have to say, I did have a beer. Oh, okay, I know, it was crazy. So, having said that, that's mine, Ms. Manager. Do you have a report?
Madam Mayor, I do not have a report. I apologize for my tardiness today. As my daughter was touring FAU, she'll be attending that, the university, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, she's going to go there.
Yes, yes.
What's she going to study?
Criminal justice.
All right.
Forensic science. Yes, so I apologize for being late, but it was a bad accident on I-95 coming
95 is
southbound.
very scary to go.
Yes. But I do want to take this opportunity. You brought up South Bryant Park and the issues that happened this week of the defacing of the seawall and the pavilion. I want to thank Jamie and the Public Works team who jumped on it right away.
I really appreciate that.
So we're working very hard. We're seeing a lot of activity, and yes, I think some action has to be done. So I'll be meeting with Captain Bear and Lieutenant as well, and the Public Works Director, and also Leisure Services, and us coming together and see what we can do to combat some of these issues that we're seeing in our parks.
Yeah.
It is rather disturbing.
Yeah, and this seems like a pretty easy fix. I also, I don't know if we have the money for it, probably not, but the playground equipment down there is like in the sun. There's no shade over it. If there's any way that we could throw up some sheets across there, it might make it easier in the summer, but the new equipment looks really nice.
I would like to think that is a great point, that if they can handle that right away. I was reading about the graffiti problem with subway cars in New York, and the biggest deterrent was that you put your graffiti up and it was immediately removed, and then people just stopped doing it. And more than trying to criminalize them and fine them and jail them,
Get rid of
that immediate removal was way more effective.
And we did have a graffiti task force.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to it. And that's a shame because we didn't really solve the problem. I gotta tell you.
Bring it back.
I think we could talk about bringing it
My
back.
understanding, there was a grant that we
Oh,
that was utilized to do that, and that ended. So
that's too bad.
we're working through trying to find
Yeah, and
alternative.
again, I remember our staff is, so I see the emails that people get about this wasn't happening, that didn't happen, and it happens, and the responsiveness, especially of your department, which is so public, we really appreciate it. Okay, so now we are on to the city attorney's report.
Moved them up.
We moved them up.
Good evening. Yes, we have nothing to report tonight. I'm just happy to be here with you all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And then we have public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda, and I have one card from Todd Townsend. Madam Clerk, do you have any cards?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
I checked, there wasn't anything at 4:30. Oh, we have another card. Thank you. Okay.
Hi, good to see everybody. My name is Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. So number one, I wanted to thank the commission for all the work being done on the ADU. I think that's really going to benefit people a lot. I think it's going to be great. Eventually our alleys will be like these cute little lanes, maybe get some really old lights up there and stuff. Paint the new walkways going from alley to alley across the street. It's going to slow cars down. It's going to look really nice. The second thing I want to talk about real quick is if you've been around a long time, you'll notice that our downtown gets these really cute small businesses and then they don't make it. A lot of small businesses have not made it in our town. But from the outside, our town looks like a perfect town for these small businesses, these unique businesses. And so I think there's a few things that we could do about that. And I just want to talk tonight about one of those things, which would be to actually bulldoze the old building, the old historic building, bulldoze the old historic building at Lake and M Street right there, that useless building. That building is a spot for essentially the CRA to just really build a deco masterpiece, in my own opinion, at that spot. That's gonna do a lot to brighten up the city, add more frontage, and that building is just useless. And if you put a bulldozer out there, I'll be happy to do it myself. I won't charge him nothing.
What building?
The old mortuary building at M and K, at Lake and M Street, you know, the one that has the big parking division sign on the front of it. The old Chamber of Commerce, it's useless. It should be gone. You can look at history from behind, look way back at history and say, wow, look at all this history. Or you can look forward at history. So we're making history. Did the Red Sox in 2004 say we better not do this because we haven't done it? No, we're making history. History is from behind and looking forward. So that's an aspect on history that we could look at. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you very much for your time and have a great night. And again, thanks a lot for all that really good work on the ADU. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, the city clerk has nothing. We are moving on to the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I think we have one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. Yeesh. My deepest apologies, Ms. Fisher. Don't yell at me.
I'm not gonna yell at you. I was actually gonna come up and support the fencing that you have proposed, because I also have spent some time down at the pavilion. In fact, I sat there one morning for an hour listening to the people, a couple tables behind me, talking about their attorneys, their cell phones, and this was all as their bike reconstruction of bikes that seem to appear out of the air. And that also happens at the fitness park over by Compass. So I thank you for bringing that forward. I think it's well needed to have a enclosed space for families with small children. I also wanted to
Ms.
remind.
Fisher, I'm sorry to interrupt. Name and
Five-
address for the record.
No problem. Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I also wanted to remind you that the city has an ordinance about shopping carts that probably would have some impact on businesses if it was enforced and I think there's a fine associated with it. That might give a little bit more incentive because some of the smaller businesses may not be able to afford the ones that stop when you get to a certain line in the ground. So I think maybe enforcing that ordinance. And I also wanted to mention that on several recent nights, I have noticed that the gates for the public parking areas around Bryant Park are not being locked at sundown. Of course, you can always go in the wrong way at the boat ramp, but there are usually locked access for the parking by the band shell and also further down. And those gates are not being locked at night to prevent people to go in there at 9:30 or later when I've been by, and there have been cars in there, which really doesn't seem to make any sense. And there are people sleeping all throughout the park. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearings, ordinance number 2023-14, second reading. Madam Attorney, will you read the title?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2023-14 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending chapter 2, article 9 of the city's code of ordinances by amending section 2-82 and section 2-83 to rename the city tree board to the city tree and landscape board, to revise the board's advisory duties for clarity and specificity, to reduce the members from 7 to 5, and to modify the board's members' terms and vacancy requirements for consistency with ordinance 2022-02, and providing for severability, the repeals of laws in conflict codification, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ordinance 2023-15, second reading, sunsetting the city recreation advisory board. Madam Attorney, will you read the title, please?
Ordinance number 2023-15 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, repealing Article 11 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances in order to sunset the City Recreation Advisory Board and providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. New business, consideration of an alcohol beverage distance waiver to allow package sales of alcohol beverages of beer and wine only at the Presidente Supermarket at 2505 North Dixie Highway. Ms. Sita, are you here for any particular reason?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here for the alcohol.
I thought you might be. All right, take it away.
Erin, can you speak into the mic, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
No, I'm doing this right. 1 second.
I seem to recall a presentation by somebody on this, but I don't, was it in a commission meeting? Was it in our one-on-ones?
So actually, this is just going back through this. This is actually, you saw an alcohol distance waiver for the same plaza previously been here. So working through this is an alcohol distance waiver. This is for the Presidente Supermarket located in the same plaza as the Family Dollar at 2505 North Dixie Highway. And this is in the mixed use Dixie Highway zoning district and has a future land use of mixed use east. Again, at the May 2nd City Commission meeting, you approved another alcohol distance waiver for Family Dollar for a similar configuration for accessory beer and wine sales to a grocer or general retail store. Within the existing plaza, there is the Family Dollar as well as there's a pizzeria. You can see the site plan. This is the location of the Family Dollar. Here are the standard review analysis decisions. This is all in your staff report. And at the Planning and Zoning Board on June 9th, they recommended approval of the alcohol distance waiver for beer and wine only to the City Commission with the staff conditions of approval. And what we also brought to the Planning and Zoning Board, because this is the second time we're seeing this, is basically the model of grocery stores and how grocery stores make money has changed. And talking to Presidente and talking to Family Dollar or even a Publix, if you go into Publix, you can typically grab a bottle of wine with your groceries. And so we said, we talked to Presidente and they said no more than 10%, but probably closer to 5% of their total sales or their sales floor area, excluding their rear, storage area. So if you look at a grocery floor plan, you're going to have your rear, where the boxes and all the other stuff is, and then your actual sales floor. They said between 5 and 10% of a sales floor for this type of use would typically have beer and wine, but no more than that. And so what we wanted to bring to you and the Planning and Zoning Board was this idea, should we just change the code? Do you want to, every time a grocery store comes and wants to sell beer or wine for 5 to 10% of their floor sales area, do you want to see that and make that still continue to make that decision on a case by case? Because basically everywhere in the city that you want to sell alcohol is near some other place that sells alcohol already. Okay. So every time anybody wants to sell a beer, they're going to be here, as a package sale. And there's already exemptions in the code, for example, for restaurants. So if you have a restaurant and 51% of your sales come from food, you are exempt from the waiver process. So this kind of concept we brought to the Planning and Zoning Board would be similar, since the bulk of the sales would come from food and other items, not alcohol. Would you want to treat this as an exemption to the code? So the two asks tonight are, one, are you okay with this particular waiver? And two, in our list of code changes, when we open up the LDRs again, would you like to see this amended? So then you don't have to keep seeing these as they come in, as new grocery stores come in. Entirely up to you.
So it would be by right up to 10%?
It would be just an exemption to the distance requirement. So there's a distance required of 500 feet. So they would be exempt, similar to a restaurant would be exempt from the alcohol distance requirements.
But they wouldn't have to go to planning and zoning.
They wouldn't have to go to planning and zoning, and because they're package sales, they have to come before you. So it's a 2-hearing process. So it would be, or if you wanted them to just go to planning and zoning for that process, that would be another option. So those are the two discussions. The Planning and Zoning Board felt like that they should just be exempt. There was consensus. Like they just said, if it's only 5 to 10% of the sales floor area and it's a grocery store, they're like, that grocery stores do this now, so we're good. We don't want to see it, is what they said. But obviously that decision, that was their recommendation to you.
And of course, enforcement's an issue.
So here are the conditions of approval. There are our standard alcohol, our standard limitations on alcohol. And I know on the last one, you talked about limiting, stopping sales at 10 p.m. So if you wanted to change that, you could, but these are our standard hours. And then obviously no alcohol is permitted for on-site consumptions. And the alcohol is accessory to the principal use of grocery. And this is the motion for the subject item. So if you would like to do it with conditions, if you want the conditions to be the 10 p.m. like you did for that, that would be an amendment to the conditions for, I don't think they're even open till midnight, honestly, but that's our standard hours. So.
Can you go back to that one? The one.
I think the 10 p.m. one is more of a concern, and they still have that concern of selling past 10 o'clock to go up to midnight. I still. Thank you. I still think that's something that we need to look. 7-Elevens and stuff, always, at Presidente, they can go to Presidente till 2 in the morning, but they can't go to 7-Eleven after 10. And I think
The 10 o'clock thing is imperative. Just come over to the west side with all the convenience stores, and there's a reason that 10 o'clock was done. Trying to even cross that street at night, and then coupled with people who are intoxicated going to get more beer, it really has lessened the tragedies we've had in the community. And it's more for the smaller, it was needed. I, for one, and I know that a lot of people in the community where I live, am thankful that the 10 o'clock and all the stores adjusted. You know, they're adjusted to doing the 10 o'clock. They just roll it down, lock it up, and they still serve everything else they have.
Right.
They just don't serve beer or wine.
So what we can do then, if the 10 o'clock is important, is, you know, if you wanted to add that as a consideration to the code change, the 10 o'clock one. I know we have someone from Presidente, and I don't believe they're open past 10. So if you, yeah, if you can, yeah.
just come up and introduce you.
Aaron, I know this came up the last time we talked about it. So my question too, well, we're waiting is if we are to, we're going to approve this tonight, add some conditions, and then when it comes back to us, if we want, are we going to then bring those conditions into the change if we allow this to be the normal?
Yes,
Well-
so you can make it 10 o'clock, so you can make it a 10 PM limitation if that's your direction tonight. It's because, and you've had consistent, it sounds like you're leaning that way tonight as well, for the grocer. So if you wanted to, that could be part of the exemption, is that if you were a grocery store and you do not sell alcohol past 10 PM, and the limitation was also going to be for beer and wine only. They have, Presidente has there's a specific license for what they do for beer and wine sales, and it would not include hard liquor. Hard liquor would still be subject to the distance requirements and will require a waiver. You're only thinking beer and wine accessory to grocers.
That would be an ordinance change if we change the,
Right, and it would come back, we wouldn't, it's not such a big,
right.
it's not such a need that we would bring it back individually. What we would probably do is put it on our list. You saw one of our cleanup ordinances is we put it in our list to tidy, and the next time we crack the LDRs, we do that too.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Oh, did you?
Oh, Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, two things, a couple of things. What was the, or can you, if you know, what was the original logic that they would be, what we do now, that each individual business comes to us and comes to planning and zoning? Was there some rationale to that?
There's a lot of leftover laws in cities from the old blue laws from the 1950s and 60s. And this is basically the way the blue laws have evolved over time on prohibitions on alcohol sales. And some of it was retained because sometimes there's some benefit to limiting when alcohol sales can occur in the evenings, and you know, there's some crime stuff and some other things. So, but basically most of this, and this is why it's typically kind of clunky in city codes, is because it's remnants of, you know, a different time. So, so there is a distance requirement between businesses that sell alcohol. And since basically nobody can come into the city and meet that distance waiver anymore. I mean, there might be, because it's not just to other people other businesses that sell alcohol. It's also to a public park. It's also to a school. It's also to any residential use. And if you look at our commercial, they're very narrow, right? So a lot of times if you have a business that sells alcohol, it's going to be proximate to residential as well, just by the, you know, the construct of our land use. So basically everybody who wants to sell alcohol, who is not already permitted to sell alcohol at that location, ends up through this process.
Okay, that was question one. That's helpful. And I guess in light of that, I think the move to say, let's change our policy citywide seems reasonable. I know that I've had, and I think the commission has had people raise concerns mostly about Publix. I hear you, Mr. Malega, and I think I was actually on the commission when, this is 7, 8 years ago or something or other, we had some issues, especially on Lucerne, in some of the smaller convenience stores that were selling too late. I think down on Federal was similar concern. And so I think PBSO was pretty supportive of moving it to 10. I think we've all had complaints of 10 when you want to get a bottle of wine at Publix. I don't know that you can allow it in some locations and not others, probably not. I don't know if you can allow it in larger grocery stores, but not in smaller convenience stores. I know that I personally, because I've had it happen a couple times, we come out of a meeting and we get out at 10 or at 9:55 and she says, I'm very sorry, I can't sell you that. Well, that would be smarter, but you don't know what I'm thinking. But I need a raise for that, but, so I don't know.
We can write the code up for you like it. I mean, a lot of convenience stores may have a similar classification to a grocery store, but we can specify maybe one of the things we were thinking about, because we haven't fleshed out the text, but single destination retail of a certain size, specifically grocers, and then a limited to to a certain size would be have this exemption. So it really focuses on a traditional grocery store model, and that convenience stores would be subject to the distance waiver and would have to go through the review process because of how they're integrated into the fabric. They're right up against other uses. So, and they're more tightly packed. So they're going to have a different impact. Their alcohol sales may have a different impact than a larger store with a parking lot kind of situation where people are shopping heavily most people are not going to the grocery store to purchase alcohol. I mean, they may, if they're having a party, but most of the time they're going for their groceries.
Assumption here in Lakewood.
Picking up a bottle of wine on the way from what we've seen. So I don't know if you can speak to that, but that's my impression when I see people at the grocery store buying alcohol. So I don't know if do you have people?
They just come in for everything. They want just one place where they can come and shop for everything. And the ladies are trained.
I don't think you introduced yourself.
Sorry. I'm Catherine Valdez. I work for Presidente Supermarkets administratively, and I reside in Miami. And we're hoping to get this store open soon. Our model includes beer and wine sales as an accessory throughout all our 40 stores between Orlando and Homestead. And we have currently in Lake Worth on the west side of I-95 on Military Trail, we have 2. And West Palm Beach, we have on 45th. So, and they all have.
Okay. Commissioner Diaz.
I'm in support of the change. So my questions are more about the policy change. And Aaron, I'm kind of curious. I feel like I should remember this from land use law school, but when we look at regulating this, and that's what we're doing, is it typically categorizing the stores, grocery store, convenience store, liquor store, or is it area? Can we do other municipalities tend to look at, okay, this area, this street, hours can be this, et cetera?
So it's kind of a mixed bag. So sometimes people will have special districts where they'll allow for later alcohol sales, or they'll have a bar area, a specific bar district. So sometimes, makes me think of in Key West, Duval Street, like they have specific alcohol regulations for Duval Street that are not in the rest of Key West, I'm sure other people in other parts of Key West appreciate that, but honestly, other than our downtown, I think where people have kind of bars and restaurants, or where bars and restaurants kind of reoccur. So most of that is pretty stable. Really, the only thing that we've been getting is kind of these grocery stores that's out of the normal. And most of our actual liquor stores or our clubs or things like that are kind of in the same place. And some of them are vested for alcohol license that we would never give today, So I'm sure you've heard cases like that. So it's kind of, the fabric is kind of what it is. And this is just basically these larger anchor businesses looking to add this as an additional line.
Thank you. I don't think we'll be a open container street like Key West. But okay, and then on the other side, the actual licensing side, which obviously is not us. I mean, I'm just going to assume there's probably minimal thought on regulating, right? You apply, you're probably going to get it.
They actually require a lot at the state, Elizabeth. I mean, I know, and we won't give business license just for alcohol sales unless we have a copy of the state license at business license. So if you want to,
Because they'll work hand in hand. Whatever change we go with has to work like basically subsequent to the license requirements.
The alcohol beverage licensing through the state is pretty extensive. They do background checks. You have to give them business history and personal history and all sorts of things like that and they do check you very rigorously. They make sure that they've gone through zoning compliance in whatever jurisdiction the facility is located. So they're checking you, they're checking your business, they're checking the site as well.
Ms. Malinga.
I'll keep this short. Let's just be mindful that a new law was passed. Senate Bill 170. Anything that we're going to do needs to be done before October. Otherwise, we have to do a feasibility study on it and an impact study. So this is what we have to think of from now forward, guys. Every ordinance that we change and the impact that it has on businesses is going to come back to us in the forms of a lawsuit. So let's just be mindful of whatever we're going to change. Let's look past today and into the future, because this could open Pandora's box for bigger issues. And I just wanted to keep it at the forefront of everybody's mind. Okay, the law goes into effect October 1st.
It might be helpful along those lines for your department to sort of take a little rundown and see if there's something that needs to be done while we still can, without all the rigmarole of all that.
yeah, sure. We can definitely take a look, you
That'd be
know.
great.
If we're doing something that's going to make life easier for businesses, though, we're probably.
That would be more likely to not have the same issues, right? Because it was reducing regulation. So,
Right. So there are two new pieces of legislation that would have potentially affect the ordinance. And one would be the one that requires a feasibility statement, and one that also prohibits any additional restrictions on development and things like that. So we would look at both of those. I think the granting the exemption obviously is not more restrictive. That's great, but changing the time to 10 o'clock we'll need to look at that one a little more closely.
My fear is just that if I don't want to loosen the 10 o'clock rule, and then now we have no recourse in November or December or 2 years from now without being sued, when we already have something good in place.
Can't we just do it?
So I'm just thinking that we just need to be mindful as we work through this in the next couple
Absolutely.
of months, that this is something that's looming out there, right? And yeah, I mean, we're not going to hinder businesses, but we also don't want to open the doors and become to Wall Street.
It's not that
great to visit.
Yeah, great to visit. They're looking for an assistant city attorney. My husband was like, hey, honey, you want to move to Key West? Really?
Can you do the crawl?
So, and how can you afford to live in Key West and work in Key West? So, I think let's separate things now. Do I have a motion for the thing at hand?
Motion to approve with the conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And just to restate, that's what the condition amended for the 10 PM.
Yeah. I'd like to look into that 10 PM if that doesn't require a giant land development regulation. Maybe we should just like do that as a housekeeping thing quickly.
Or what do you?
Well, just to make it uniform 10 o'clock.
What about
I'm
10:10?
in favor for 10.
10:10, that way when the store closes at 10, if you're there at 10:02, you can squeeze.
For Commissioner Boyd.
Or and if the doors are open.
If the door's not
Submit to
locked.
The will of the majority.
All right.
So that would be.
So we'll take a look at that. We'll add it to our list and, we'll look at the 10 o'clock in the meantime, maybe before the 1st, in general, but, for this particular one, we can't do it before October 1st, which is pretty tight to get back to you all, honestly.
No, but
We'll just put a pin in it and then it's just this is going to be the new way we do business, is to do a feasibility study and to do another bit of analysis. And that's just going to have to be, because there's probably going to be changes in the future we can't foresee now. And it's just gonna be how we're gonna have to deal with it.
So do we have a plan for like, do we have a go-to vendor or person that we contract with that can do the feasibility study, doing how intensive it is or what the cost will be?
So I haven't looked at enough to see exactly how a feasibility study is going to flesh out and what exactly is required under the statute. We're going to have to cross that bridge and really look at that because if it doesn't really say a lot, it could be really, it's just enough to be defensible. It's really what we're looking at this point.
But I think we're gonna need that information because is this worth changing and it's gonna cost us $100,000 to hire a lawyer and do all this,
Right.
or is it gonna be 5,000? It's like, we need to know that if that's a barrier we're considering on whether to do something or not.
Yeah, no,
And
for
then-
sure.
Key challenge.
They're not making it easier for us, that's for sure. Do you have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?